Greetings, Ventures. This is Lauren, your Guild Advisor. We got quite a bit of DanMemo news here from the Japanese live stream that happened earlier today, and there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening starting tomorrow night. So, if you're bored and have nothing to do because of the stay-at-home stuff due to the pandemic, they gave you a lot of stuff to do. So, without further ado, let's try to get this stuff knocked out of the way because there's quite a bit. Now, first of all, there's going to be some quality life updates and some fixes. You'll now be able to download the voices in the story per episode, and there's also a function to actually have the game automatically delete the voice files from your game once you have viewed a story. So if the game is taking too much space up on your phone because of all the voices, you can easily delete those voices after you see the story. And they also implemented a fix so the skip button on the quest results screen actually works now. For some reason in the last update that got broken. And we're gonna get a new record buster boss in Finn, and also of course, as you see here, he's decked out in some new gear, so he will also be a unit along with someone else. This new Finn record buster will of course start tomorrow night. That says 4:30, but that's based on Japanese Standard Time, so tomorrow for US Pacific Time 4:29. This is the first time Finn will appear, so I'm very curious to see what his animations are. I kind of like his outfit too. I think he works really well with the green theme they gave him. And there's going to be a campaign to get a score of at least 50M. That shouldn't be too difficult for players that have been playing DanMemo for quite some time, but you'll be able to earn useful items like Hero Light used to ascend your characters, and you'll also be able to earn a 4-star guaranteed 11 draw ticket if you do achieve that score of 50 million. And here is the brand new gacha banner featuring the record buster bosses, the new Finn and Riveria. We've had Riveria as a record buster boss for quite some time, so we always thought that she would be getting a unit with that outfit, that cloak, so we're finally going to get it here. And it's the standard 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th to guarantee 4-star draws. And this will also launch tomorrow night with the new record buster. We have the new Brave Spearman Finn. He of course is a physical attacker with a max attack of 1988 and a max agility of 976. And before I get into it, I'd like to thank Simhow6567 on the DanMemo Reddit Discord for these skill translations here. But for Finn's special arts, it's an AoE ultralight physical attack that will increase in damage by 40% for each strength buff on him, and also has an ultra unguard rate with a 40% chance to seal. So a lot of stuff going on with that move. It looks like it could be a pretty devastating attack if you can get that special arts off during a war game, just because the attack is just amplified by so much with that 40% per strength buff. So his own strength buff and then an assist, making that hit 80% harder. Has an ultra unguard rate, so there's a low chance that your opponent will guard it, and of course it can also have a high chance to seal at 40%. That's a pretty big percentage. You're pretty much guaranteed for at least one of those characters you're going against to be sealed, as long as your opponent doesn't have any ailment resistance. So that should be interesting to see in war games. And for his combat skills, the first skill is an AoE fast highlight physical attack with an ultra uncounter rate, and also reduces enemy physical resistance and light resistance by 30% for 2 turns. So a fast attack that happens at the beginning of the turn to decrease your opponent's physical light defenses, so your future light and physical attacks will deal more damage. Then his second skill is an AoE super light physical attack with a temporary strength based on ultra penetration rate, and will increase his own strength and light attack damage by 60% for 2 turns. So only 2 turns, but it is a substantial double buff of 60%, so about 120% increase in damage with that skill. And then for his third skill, it's a single target highlight physical attack that will increase in damage by 30% for each self strength buff on him, and also has an ultra critical rate. It's not that amazing of a single target skill, but you can use it for single target situations if you do lack characters that are solely focus on single target encounters. He can also help you out with that if you're like a newer player and don't have too many single target focused characters, but this Finn is mainly for AoE. And as for his notable passives, his counters have a light element attachment to them. He does 10% more damage on penetrations, has an additional 35% resistance to dark, and also the Dragon Killer ability, which will be useful for upcoming Familiar Rush. And then we have, of course, the new Crimson Balefire Riveria. Her max magic attack is at 2,000, a nice even number at 2k. And for her special arts, it's a single target ultra fire magic attack that will increase in damage by 50% for each magic and fire damage buff on her. So if you do have her own magic and fire buff and also an assist buff that increases her magic and fire damage, she will have a total of a 200% increase with that skill. So it's gonna be a big fire blast, a huge bomb, a huge nuke on the opponent. Usually a record buster type encounter with that single target, and also familiar rush stages that are single target, stuff like that. For combat skills, the first skill is a single target mid-fire magic attack, and it will decrease the enemy's magic resistance and fire resistance by 30% for 2 turns. So standard single target attack that you want to be using to decrease your opponent's defenses. So Riveria will hit even harder after that. And her second skill is a single target high fire magic attack with an ultra penetration rate, and will increase her magic and fire attack damage by 70% for 3 turns. So I don't think we have too many units that increase like their stats by 70% for both, like on a double buff. So that's 140% boost overall, and this is for 3 turns. So huge numbers that we're going to be seeing here. And her third skill is a single target super fire magic attack with a temporary magic boost, ultra critical rate, and will also increase the status debuffs durations on your opponent by 2 turns. So you'll only need to use that skill 1 about 1 time in most cases, unless your opponent has an ability to take off their debuffs. But you can use your skill 1 once, and then after that you can just keep using skill 3 because it will extend the debuffs on your opponent, and including debuffs that Riveria didn't do herself, like some debuffs your other units are placing on the enemy. And then for notable passives, I put triple S for some reason. She has fire element counters, a bonus 25% wind resistance, does 50% more damage on counters, and also has the dragon killer ability. So pretty powerful units on first read here, especially Riveria. Like, she's gonna be a big magic fire attacking nuke. And like I mentioned, Familiar Rush is coming. It's gonna be tomorrow night as well. Like I said, a bunch of stuff. Record Buster and then also Familiar Rush. The first stage will feature Red Dragons and Wyverns. And the Red Dragons will use fire magic attacks and physical attacks, and they can also buff their strength and magic. And the Wyverns will use fire magic attacks, and they can buff their critical rate. As for the resistances, they resist fire and wind by 50%, dark by 30%. They're neutral against earth and thunder. They're weak against water by 40%, and weak against light by 60%. So it looks like Finn right there is going to be one you want to be using. And then they're neutral against physical and magic, so you can use whatever elements you are strong with. And a tip below says, form a water party or light party of units with AoE attacks. Red Wyvern buffs critical rate, so prevent it with an assist or using a skill. Red Dragon buffs to straight magic to remove their buffs or raise resistance of your allies. And here in stage 2, you're going against an infant dragon that can use physical attacks and a fire magic attack, and has a skill to decrease the strength and magic of your characters. And then these ill wyverns that can use physical attacks and win magic attacks. They buff their critical rate, and they can also inflict seal on your allies, so make sure you have some type of seal resistance. As for their own resistances, they resist light by 30%, they're neutral against earth, thunder, and dark, they're weak against wind by 30%, and they're weak against fire and water by 40%. They resist physical attacks by 30% and are neutral against magic, so you're probably wanting to use a more magic team here. On the tip below, it says form a wind magic attack party, fire magic attack party, or water magic attack party of units with AoE attacks. Wyvern buffs crit rate, so prevent it with an assist or using a skill. If a dragon uses an AoE attack that's very strong, so debuff its magic or raise the resistance of your characters. And then for the last stage, you're going against the Mistral Dragon. It can use physical attacks and win magic attacks. It can inflict stun on your allies to make sure you have some type of stun resistance. It also has a skill to increase the attack a single target damage that you take, and it can also buff its own strength and magic. It resists earth and thunder by 30%, it's neutral against water, light, and dark. It's weak against wind by 40% and weak against fire by 60%. Physical and magic are neutral, so you can use whatever element you are strong without worrying about physical or magic parties. This says form a wind party or fire party of units with a single target attack. Be prepared for the enemy's use of skills that inflict stun on your allies. Also, it buffs the strength of magic, so make sure to remove them or raise your resistances. That's Familiar Rush. Good luck on that. This is the Gold Rush campaign. Play the event during the campaign period for a chance to get gotcha tickets and tons of Alice. Get up to 100 3-star tickets. And the funny thing about this, like, oh, you think, oh boy, 100 3-star tickets. But remember, they don't guarantee a 4-star, so you could have the worst luck in the world and not get a single one, but hopefully you get at least one 4-star from this, right? This campaign will start tomorrow night, and then we have this big chart here of the login bonuses that will give you 3-star guarantee tickets, and then a bunch of missions here where you have to do the Elven Ronda rerun, which I'll cover later, do record buster attempts, clear the 7th zone, that's also happening, Familiar Rush attempts, get certain ranks in war games, and etc. And like I mentioned earlier, Elven Rondo is getting a rerun, so if you don't have these characters, now it's a good chance to get them or to increase their limit breaks. This will also be starting tomorrow night. You'll be able to maximum break the Lafia because she is the welfare character from this. And as for the banner layout, it's Aina and Riveria on 1 for guarantees. The 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th draw is 200 Iris, and you get a guaranteed 4-star of the banner on the 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, and 10th pulls, and it's the same way with the other banner featuring Ryu and Philvis. And they should also be getting a touch-up with the units themselves. I saw some changes involved, like MP costs being lowered, so there might be some minor changes with the units as well, so that's exciting. And like I said, the Dragon Killer ability will be useful for the Familiar Rush, and both Ryu and Riveria from the Elven Rondo rerun have that ability, so make sure if you do have the Riveria or Ryu or are planning to get them here, they will also be somewhat useful for the Familiar Rush in addition to that new Riveria and Finn. And this is the once a day Mega Valis quest. Basically, clear this quest once a day to get a bunch of Valis. And 7th Zone is coming back with some changes, but like I said, like, we're getting so much stuff at the same time, it's almost problematic because of it. Like Familiar Rush, Record Buster, 7th Zone, they're demanding a lot of our time with this, but they're changing how 7th Zone works a little bit because instead of happening every other week and them opening the stages across the week, we're now getting 7th Zone every week, but instead of like 4 elements being opened up gradually, it's just 2 elements happening every week, so it should be actually a bit more manageable instead of being piled on you all at once every other week. So hopefully this is more smooth with the way it works. And the Hestia knife will be added to the blacksmith. You can purchase them, both the Hestia knife and Magic Hestia knife, one time. And there's a typo here. Like, it says, just like in the original story, this luxurious weapon costs 2 billion Valis. That's a typo. It should say 200 million because that's what it says in the light novel. It's a 200 million Valis loan, not 2 billion. I don't think Hephaestus was that mean to Hestia. Dear Lord. And then the main story in Valis Quest, a stamina cost will be halved. This also goes live tomorrow night, like everything else. The only weird thing for this is that it does not include Bell main story episodes 1 through 30, so everything in the Bell's episode after 30, and then I assume Eyes, Lafia, and Ryu will all be half cost. I don't know why it's just not everything. Like, that would also be helpful for newer players. I don't know why they specifically put like the first 30 episodes of Bell's main story. That is not half cost. Like, I don't understand the logic in that, but it is what it is. And this is just a reminder: if you have a certain player rank, you'll be getting 2 4-star guarantee tickets when the month resets. And then we've been getting character banners every week, and it's supposed to count down to the 3rd season, which I still have doubts about it happening and being delayed. I still think that's going to happen, but we'll just have to see how it goes. But this time it's Lily's turn for the character banner, so she has less units than Hestia, but if you're aiming for a specific Lily, she still has a lot of units. I don't think you're going to get the one you're aiming for, but it is possible to get the time-limited characters, like you see the Halloween Lily right there, so you might be able to get her. You just have to see. And then just the overview of the upcoming schedule. Like, as always, this is Japanese Standard Time, so you should be getting I believe the quality of life updates, and then the skip being fixed tonight on 4/28, and then tomorrow night on the 29th is the Gold Rush campaign, the Elven Rondo rerun, Familiar Rush, 7 Zone, Record Buster. Oh my lord, so much stuff. And then on April 30th is the Lily banner being launched, and of course there's also a free 11 draw with that as well, but it's not a guarantee 4-star, so I hope you do get a 4-star with that. And then the monthly reset for the paid Iris and Hero Light combo gets reset, and then of course the player rank 4-star guarantee tickets will also be reset, and you should be getting 2 of those if your player rank is high enough. So that's it for the news. It's a ton of it. The Japanese 3rd anniversary is coming up in June, and there's a few things I think would happen between now and then. Like, we just got these Record Buster units. I was not expecting that, but I think before we get into the 3rd anniversary stuff, we should get the final 2 season 2 story chapters added into the game, I would think. We still need to get Sororatorio Volume 6 story content in the game, because that was promised along with Volume 5, which we did get earlier in the event. Hopefully we get that new Tiona finally with that. And with the event we just got with the new Welf and the new Mikoto and the new Haruhime, we got a lot of those units as an event from adapting stuff in Volume 8 that the 2nd season of the anime skipped. And there's 2 more stories in there that I would like to see put into an event, because one of those, specifically Seer's story, has some relevance to the lead up to Season 3, so hopefully both Seer's story and Aina's story, which have yet to be adapted from Volume 8 into the game, get adapted into the event, or at least in some form before Season 3 starts, so people have a chance to see what that is before watching the anime, if Season 3 does happen this summer. Of course, you can always read the light novel, which I always highly suggest. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Good luck on all the stuff that's happening tomorrow night. It's quite a truckload of stuff. Good luck on your polls. If you want to see more DanMachi content, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter and join my Discord. And as always, continue enjoying your time adventuring Mario and the dungeon. This is Lorne, your guild advisor, signing out.